Hello, I'm Srajan and you're watching Cover Story. A new segment we're starting where we will focus on a single important story. The aim is to give enough time to the important topics. So without any further delay, let's get started. Workers confront re-employment on starkly unfair terms after the lockdown lifts. Their means of livelihood need to be secured along with their lives. So the question we are asking is India ready for post-COVID employment crisis? The lockdown during the pandemic has brought economic activities to an abrupt halt, taking a toll on millions of livelihoods. From salaried employees, freelance workers, and private school teachers to daily wage workers, migrant laborers, street vendors, and home based workers. The threat of losing their means of livelihood looms large, more so for the latter, economically vulnerable groups. Unfortunately, what remains is uncertainty. In a country like India, where around 90% of the labor force is employed in the informal sector, more than lives are at stake. As per NSSO data for 2017-18, the rate of unemployment had shot up to a worrisome 6.1%, a 45-year high. The role of the twin shocks of demonetization and GST in arresting growth and devastating employment cannot be downplayed. While the economy was already in terrible shape and yet to recover from these shocks, the COVID 19 has thrown a final blow and will certainly leave the economy into tatters. The rate of growth for the last quarter of financial year 2019-20 is likely to be negative. What is most worrying is the colossal loss of jobs as a result of the lockdown beginning March 24th. The rate of unemployment has surged with each passing week of the lockdown. According to Center for Monitoring Indian Economy or CMIE estimates, the unemployment rate was 6% for the week ending March 15th, 2020, just before the lockdown commenced. It shot up to a staggering 23.8% in the very first week of the lockdown. It declined slightly in the second week, only to scale up to 24% in the third week. The upward trend continued during the fourth week, towering at an appalling 26.2% during the fourth week of the lockdown, ending April 19th. Simply put, 1 in every 4 members of the labor force is now out of work. It is obvious that a vast majority of these are situated in the informal sector, with often uncertain employment with neither security of job nor social insurance. Employment was badly hit in urban areas where the rate of unemployment soared up to about 30 to 31% in the first 2 weeks. By the end of the fourth week, it touched around 25%. Rural unemployment has been increasing from 20% in the second week to 27% in the next 15 days that follow. Against the usual trends, rural unemployment has been exceeding urban unemployment. One of the main reasons could be the inability of farmers to reap the Rabi harvest and perform other agricultural activities. Now, notwithstanding the partial relaxation of the lockdown and gradual resumption of the agricultural activities in the non-containment areas after 20th April, it is difficult to predict how long it would take for the rural agrarian economy to recover. The ILO estimates that about 400 million informal sector workers in India will be further impoverished as a result of the lockdown. Migrant daily wage workers, who constitute a significant majority of the informal labor force, are also at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of their working and living conditions. A survey conducted by Jan Sahas Social Development Society revealed that more than 80% of the migrant workers have food stocks that would last less than a month. Furthermore, about 60% of the migrant workers were found to be unaware of any COVID linked relief schemes. With the lockdown extended, savings exhausted, debts piling up, and no sources of income, The same plight has befallen street vendors, domestic workers, home-based workers, and the like. As uncertainty looms, no relief seems to be in sight for any of them. The persistence of informality is essential for the survival of capitalism. Once production resumes in the post-lockdown era, it is certain that the newly hired labor will be exploited to make up for the profits foregone during the lockdown. With millions of jobs lost, the reserve army of labor shall expand, forcing them to accept work even at low wages, work overtime for no or little extra pay, as well as increase the casualization of the workforce. During the 2008 global recession, approximately 6 lakh Indians lost their jobs in a span of 4 months. More recently, around the same number of engineers were laid off in the IT sector in 2017. However, it must be noted that these crises worst hit the financial and IT sectors, with relatively mild shocks felt by the others. Unfortunately, the ongoing situation is far worse. The formal sector shall also not remain untouched by this employment crisis. Although some organizations have struggled to stay afloat via work from home regimes, the losses in the revenue have been enormous across industries. The shutdown has already resulted in withdrawals of job offers to new recruits, retrenchment of existing staff, and pay cuts of 25% or more during work from home. Several industries in the service sector, particularly tourism, aviation, and hospitality and accommodation, have had to completely shut operations. The upshot is that employees of the airline Go Air and some engineers of SpiceJet have been sent on leave without pay until May 3rd. To cite another example, the Indian Express newspaper has initiated a salary cut for its employees, citing a decline in revenue from advertisements alongside a plunge in sales during the lockdown. On the other hand, with newspapers no longer being delivered to homes, offices, libraries, and other readers, distributors and vendors are rendered temporarily and indefinitely jobless. The latter, who might not enjoy social insurance or legal protection, have to wait for the lockdown to be lifted to be able to earn any income again. Such workers in the informal sector with meager incomes and little to no savings are much more vulnerable to job losses, destruction of sources of livelihood. Notwithstanding the difficulty in finding gainful employment once the normalcy is restored. Everything said and done, there is a need for a special economic task force to bring the economy back on track and deal with the employment crisis that has already begun to impact millions in India alone. The 1.7 lakh crore relief package announced in late March is being considered inadequate. The need of the hour is to adopt greater and immediate relief measures for the most vulnerable and worst hit by the pandemic. The task at hand is not only to deal with the disaster, but also prepare for what is to follow, to secure not only lives, but also their means of livelihood. Thank you very much for watching. This is the very first video in this segment. Tell us your thoughts on it. If you like it, then follow the Facts Company. You can also suggest what issues would you like to be discussed in our program, and we'll be back soon. Till then, stay safe and stay informed.